Have you ever wondered why your garden thrives during a full moon? Discover the ancient secrets of the moon's influence on plant growth and unlock the power of the lunar cycle for your own personal transformation. The Alchemist's Garden. Chapter 1. The garden wakes under the new moon. There is a moment each month when the sky forgets the moon. No glow, no silver curve, only shadow, vast and absolute, a hush draped over the heavens. It is here, in the velvet dark, that the alchemist begins. The garden is silent, not lifeless, only waiting. Soil damp with yesterday's dreams, roots dreaming beneath the surface, the bones of last season folded quietly into the earth. The moon is hidden, and in her absence, everything listens. The alchemist walks barefoot between the beds, cloak trailing over moss and loam. One hand carries a jar of ash, the other a bowl of still water. Neither shines. That is the point. This is the phase of planting without light. Not just seeds, but intentions, ideas, visions, truths too fragile to name aloud. He kneels by the oldest tree, where no herbs grow and no flowers bloom. The tree is not dead, only empty. A sentinel. A gate. He pours the ash into the soil and speaks, not with his mouth, but with memory. The new moon is not for action. It is for offering. What do you wish to grow in silence? What would you become if no one were watching? The alchemist digs, slowly. Not deep. The new moon demands gentleness. Each seed is chosen with care. Calendula, for healing what can't be seen. Yarrow, for protecting what must remain soft. Wormwood, for the things that must be let go. Each one is pressed into the earth with intention, not force. And over them he pours the moonless water, gathered the night before from the spring beneath the hawthorn tree, when the stars burned alone and the forest stood still. This water is sacred because it remembers the dark. Above him, the night stretches endless. No moon, no promise, just space to imagine. The alchemist lights no flame. He leaves the seeds buried, not marked, not mapped, because this phase of the cycle is not for control. It is for trust. To plant is to surrender, to let go of what you think you know about blooming. The garden breathes. Not louder, deeper. Roots stir. Beneath the surface, something begins. Later, the alchemist will teach you how to speak to sprouting stems, how to bottle morning dew, how to pull the truth from leaves soaked in starlight. But for now, this is the work. Walk in darkness. Plant with intention. Say nothing. Let it become. The moon is dark. The garden is listening. And so are you. Chapter 2. The waxing light and the turning leaves. The moon returns not in thunder, but in sliver. A pale crescent carved from soft obsidian, just enough to see your own hand again, but not enough to trust what it holds. The garden shifts with her. What was buried now breathes. What was silent now stirs. This is the phase of becoming. The alchemist rises before dawn. This is not the time for harvesting, not yet, but it is time to tend. He moves through the garden barefoot, robes drawn tight against the breath of morning. In one hand, a clay jar of rosewater. In the other, a blade made from bone and blackened bronze. Not for cutting, for clearing. Waxing light awakens more than just the seeds. It stirs shadows too. The weeds of the spirit, the noise of the ego. Before the garden can grow, the unnecessary must go. He walks to the herb bed, now dotted with the smallest, greenest mouths. The sprouts have broken the soil, but they are tender, hungry, hopeful, terrified, just like the mind when it dares to dream aloud. He leans down and whispers, "Grow slow, stretch wide, don't reach beyond what you're ready to hold." The garden answers not in sound, but in fragrance, a bloom of scent that curls from root to stem, signalling permission. This is the waxing moon's first gift, energy. In the alchemist's world, energy is not abstract. It is measured in sap, in pulse, in the hum beneath fingernails as you press them into the earth. This is when you begin the work. He lights the first fire of the cycle. Not large, not bright. A spiral of embers fed by dried mint, lavender stems, and cinnamon bark soaked in honey and salt. Smoke rises, white and silver. This smoke does not carry prayers, it carries direction. The alchemist teaches, this is the phase to act, but not to rush, to build, but not to chase. Waxing light teaches you how to move, not just when. He gathers from the garden sparingly. A single violet leaf for intuition, a sprig of mugwort for dream work, 3 drops of dew from the tallest marigold, harvested just before the sun touches it. These are not ingredients. They are agreements. Each one asks a question of the moon. What do you want me to learn? What am I afraid will grow too fast? What happens if I outgrow the pot they planted me in? With the herbs, he brews a tonic. A tea to be taken only during the waxing phase. Bittersweet, earthy, grounding. It strengthens the nerves, deepens the breath, and clears the emotional garden, where your own thoughts tend to plant weeds. By the 3rd night, the moon is visible to all. Even those who don't watch the sky feel it. People dream louder. Plants lean faster. Desires begin to bloom like night flowers. Slow, strange, glowing in unexpected places. The alchemist teaches, this is the time to nurture your yes, to water what you want to become. But do not pick it. Not yet. The waxing phase is sacred, not because it shows you what's coming, but because it asks if you're ready to receive it. Are you? Then tend gently. Speak kindly. Feed what feeds you, and let the light return, inch by inch. Chapter 3. The full moon's flame. And then the moon arrives, whole, blinding, perfect. No more waiting, no more wondering. The sky opens like an eye that has seen too much and now refuses to blink. In the garden, everything blooms at once. Fragrance thick as velvet, petals wide, unapologetic. Colour too vivid to feel real. It is overwhelming. It is intoxicating. It is too much, and that is the point. The alchemist stands in the centre of it all, arms bare, eyes open. This is not the phase for restraint. This is reckoning. The full moon is not gentle. She is not soft or maternal. She is the high priestess, veiled in silver and fire, demanding you show what you've made with her light. Every seed planted under the dark now stands in full view. No hiding. No excuses. The garden is your mirror, and your mirror does not lie. The alchemist lays out white cloth on the stone altar near the pond. He arranges what the garden offers. Lemon balm for clarity roses, red and overripe basil, in bloom, protective and sharp. A single black feather, found on the gate. These are the tools for tonight's ritual. This is the phase of harvest. But not everything picked is meant to be kept. He begins with moon water. Clear spring water, collected in a black glass bowl, placed beneath the full moon's path, undisturbed, uncovered. By morning, it will be infused with silver, memory, and madness, used for purification, emotional cleansing, or to anoint the edges of new intentions. Next comes the burning. Every full moon ritual must have flame. This is when the alchemist writes what must be released. Old fears, unfinished desires, names that no longer belong in his mouth. He writes on bay leaves, soaked in oil and ash, then drops them into the copper bowl. They hiss, Spark, vanish, let it go, let it burn, let it feed the soil. Because here is the lesson. The garden doesn't keep every bloom, it lets the prettiest ones fall, rot, and become something else. The full moon teaches you that beauty is brief, that clarity is cleansing, that release is sacred. The alchemist dances at night. Yes, dances. Not for performance, not for spectacle, but to move the energy, to stir the roots beneath the soil, to tell the spirits, the wind, and the moon herself, I am still alive. I am ready to feel. I am not afraid to be seen. The garden pulses, not with growth, with knowing. This is the phase when your body knows what your mind has refused to say. So the alchemist stops speaking. He lets the moon translate. Full moon nights are not for planting or planning. They are for feeling what is already here. Let the light show you everything, even the mess, especially the mess. And when the fire burns low, the leaves are ash and the water glows faintly in the bowl, the alchemist walks back through the garden. He touches nothing. He thanks everything. And he sleeps without dreams. Because after fullness comes only one thing: emptying. Chapter 4. The waning moon and the great returning. The light recedes, not all at once, but in soft, deliberate steps. The moon, once whole and radiant, begins to fade. First a sliver vanishes, then a curve, then the sharp edge softens into shadow. This is the time of the waning moon, the phase of release, return, and rest. And in the garden, the alchemist listens for what lets go. Petals curl inward, leaves drop without drama. The air smells of earth, not fresh, not sweet, but rich with a scent of decay. This is not death. This is transformation. This is compost, and that is sacred. The alchemist does not harvest. He gathers only what has already fallen. Stalks turned brittle, wilted herbs, moss gone soft and brown at the edges. He adds them to the compost altar, a wooden box bound in iron, carved with sigils for memory and forgiveness. Here, everything that could not bloom becomes fuel, because even the failed intentions feed the next season. The waning moon teaches acceptance. It shows you what stayed and what didn't, what grew and what rotted, but without judgment, only truth. The alchemist begins his slow rituals. No flame now, no smoke, only breath and stillness. He makes tinctures for grief, valerian and violet steeped in dark wine. He crafts oils for sleep, chamomile with mugwort, warmed over candleless heat. He brews teas for forgetting, sage, lemon peel and fennel, to silence the old voices. This is the moon for letting things rest, for retreat, for reflection, for acknowledging that not everything must be finished to have been worth beginning. He spends less time in the garden now, more time in the library, reading old journals, marking what bloomed, what failed, what surprised him. Not as criticism, as remembrance, because the waning moon is the keeper of memory. She does not punish, she preserves. The alchemist lights a single lantern each evening, just one. Its glow barely reaches the edges of the room, but it is enough. He teaches, you cannot grow under the waning moon, but you can soften, you can rest, you can decide what not to carry into the next cycle. And when the final sliver of moon disappears, when the garden goes still, when the soil cools and the sky turns blank again, he kneels one last time in the center of the sleeping field. He says nothing. He listens, not for the next seed, not yet, only for the breath between stories, the sacred pause between inhale and exhale, between light and light again. The cycle is not over. it is only ready to begin again. Which phase of the moon do you feel most connected to, and why? Let us know in the comments, and tell us what ancient magic you want us to explore next. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more.